So we met shortly after you came to the UK. I don't know how long you had been here. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think in the mountain, and I can tell this with my open heart, honestly. After my experience with my marriage, after everything ended, and I was single mother for 4 years already when I arrived in UK. So long time ago, before that, I promised myself that now it's time for me. Now it's time for children. I'm gonna do everything what I can to provide the best life I can for them. And when I decide to not go back to Poland, but work hard to establish my roots in Bristol, my focus was mainly on work and children. Um, so I was telling myself, no more relationship, no marriage, no man, nothing like that, not instead of business. So when I arrived in Bristol in August 2005, I met you in April 2006. And that was when I was coming back from my breakfast and lunch shift in Hotel Duval. That was Sunday, very cold. Despite being April, there was like snowing and windy. And I remember I met Ivona, who was my friend. And Ivona is married to Des, who was your friend. And this is how we met, because he was helping Des with unloading furniture from the barn. And I remember it came from nowhere. I can't even explain. Despite me being so focused, despite me being so how to say, not even allowing myself to think about having relationship or meeting someone. I can't explain what happened then, because the moment I stopped and talked to Ivona, and you was there, a bit farther away from us, talking to this. And then we met together for a cup of tea. Something instantly happened. I can't explain. From the day one, I fell in love with you. And I remember this warm eyes looking at me, and I couldn't work out. And I was asking myself, is this warm because you use some compassion towards me? I can't explain. Or I knew then from day one, and I was even talking to myself, God, it's not happening. No, it's not meant to. It's like I felt the same. That was the same warm feeling when I fell in love with my first boyfriend, Tarek.
Mm.
And the rest, you know.
Mm. Well, I mean, I think we dated for a year, didn't we? I don't
But
even,
we dated since so we met each other in April. It wasn't even dating. We was going out together with Ivana and Des to cinema, to concert. But the real dating started in end of October.
mm. And I was aware of
So
my
6 months
past.
later.
Yeah, yeah. So I was aware of my past. I was aware of your vulnerability. I fell in love with you instantly as well. And I was also very aware of how tender, how vulnerable, that you had children, and I had my past, and I had my children. Um, I was a Catholic, except I was less knowledgeable of my Catholic faith. I was definitely a lapsed Catholic. I didn't practice my faith. and in fact had probably wholeheartedly rejected my faith at that point without even realizing it. But again, it's a totally different story. I rejected something that I didn't have, not what I have today. What I have today, I wouldn't have rejected, but yeah, that was a different journey, and at the same time a parallel journey. But certainly you were, and I was already established at that time, so I had already kind of made had a stable life, and you were trying to make a start for you and your children. You had a home that you worked so hard to build, and you brought your children back, and I was aware of all of these things. You were aware. We kind of went through a process of kind of saying, no, this can't happen. This is not good. It's not right. It's, yeah, maybe we want it to happen, but it's not the right thing. And we tried not seeing each other. And yeah, we did, that wasn't going to work either. And because you'd been divorced civilly in the Catholic Church, I mean, civilly you can get divorced. People get married and divorced all the time. In the Catholic Church, it's a sacrament. It's the only sacrament that two people give to each other. The Catholic Church doesn't give it to you, and it's not dissoluble. So the prospect of me and you being together effectively means that we would be living in sin. Now, objectively, living in sin, for me, I didn't care. I was like, don't care, don't know about the Catholic Church, don't care about the Catholic Church's sacraments. The Catholic Church to me was a force for not good in the world. My understanding of the Catholic Church was very poor indeed, and it was very unfair to the whole Catholic Church, and because of my own ignorance and because of all of the things that happened to me, and none of them to do with the Catholic Church, ironically. So, in separate ways, we'd kind of been brought together. Something was powerful. We dated. We did date. We had made our intentions clear that we wanted to be with each other. We knew this was going to be a shock to your children. And again, we hadn't kind of consummated our relationship. We're very, very mindful that this is big. This is going to be big for your children. Later became my children. And quite unsettling after everything that they had been through. So it was a real dilemma for both of us, and of course your family was instantly distrustful of me. They'd called me mafiosa, or I was some kind of, I don't know, this bald head, and I mean, somehow, was to be, to stay away from. And I know that upset you because you're the different experience of me, but it didn't upset me. I understood from the perspective of them not wanting you to be at risk. Their understanding was, here we go again. Here's this guy. He's just going to take what he wants. He's going to mistreat her. He's not going to respect her. And of course, they didn't know me. I didn't know them. And we were just beginning to get to know each other. And that was a lifelong thing that's kind of still going on, right? We're still learning and getting to know layers of each other, and kind of being and building and bonding and growing together. But the odd thing here was that we kind of fallen from our faiths in different ways. Now, you clung to Jesus and you prayed constantly. I didn't know that you were praying for me to come back to Jesus or to find Jesus. I didn't know that. But I was going through a stage of feeling that I'd been abandoned, by God. If God did exist, then he didn't like me. All of this stuff. I've been through it before in my book, and I'm not going to focus on my story to take away from yours. This is about you today. And about both of us as husband and wife and as a family. But it was a big deal. It was a big deal for you, and it was a big deal that I hadn't really. It's only now, not today, but only in recent years, in the last 5 years, that I really understand the impact that my lack of faith and your struggle with the Catholic Church. I didn't really understand what you felt that you had lost by being, in a sense, ostracized by your faith. I didn't really get it. I just thought, well, we can just carry on with our lives. They don't mean anything. But I didn't understand as I do today how important, how integral it was to you. And how did it feel to see this thing between me and you grow stronger? Obviously, we became a couple. We did move in together. We did live in sin. We were separated, both of us, from the Catholic Church. Um, how did that feel for you?
Mm. Yeah, certainly that was the time when I guess we both was feeling lost. As when we started to leave our relationship together. Yeah, I remember the struggles when I wanted to practice my faith, going to church, and even the little symbols like Christmas Eve preparation and the sit down to dinner, breaking the bread, sharing the bread with family. That was a massive challenge for me. Just like me doing all the preparation all week, obviously stressing about cooking and this and that, setting up everything. And everything was ready. There was nothing lacking on our dinner table. All these additional Polish dishes and the opłatek, the holy bread, which we meant to break with each other, was there. And because he wasn't ready, he didn't feel that was important enough. That was like that what was missing. And for many, many years until you get your conversion again, quite painful. And then I remember I was going to confession in Bristol, and obviously I was confessing that I'm living in a unblessed relationship. And the priest was saying, I'm not gonna give you penance. No, you still in sin. So that was the time when I stopped. I didn't stop believing in God, but I stopped going to confession for, I believe that was 9 years, maybe more. Because I thought it's not going to confession when I'm gonna be rejected, and then you're gonna say, no, you're not forgiven because you're still in sin. But like,
Yeah.
I give up. Yeah, that was really hard. But the moment when you reconverted, and I remember you said to me, I read the confession and experienced this wonderful, immersed feeling. It's like all the emotion, all the tears just flow, and you felt so light. And first, I thought, oh my God, I want to feel this again. I want to feel it. And I remember you had done it to me. I went to the confession and I felt exactly the same after all these many, many years not going to confession. And this time, this priest, and that was San Bonaventure's church in Bishopsville, I think, he said, God forgive you. we need to do something about that. Don't never think that God doesn't love you and don't forgive you. Yeah, so among all these years, there was like many challenging years that we get there to the point when we find ourselves again. And I remember one really important moment when we visited Fatima. That was 2017. We visited Fatima with our friend Terry and his partner. And I remember I only heard from the church about this place, but I never had the desire, even dream to go there. But somehow we find ourselves near Fatima, and I said, let's go. And I remember as we was approaching the Fatima shrine, and I was so emotional. We was walking towards the basilica, and the next minute I look around and you're not there. So I turn around looking for you, and you were standing at the main steel cross, it's very tall cross in the Fatima place, and you touch the cross with your forehead closed, and you was like standing there, and I'm sure you was praying, and I said, God, please help him, find the way, and it happened. It was so wonderful when I finally witness you conversion back to politics. That was my answer. That was my prayer was answered. I remember that moment.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I was praying. I prayed all the time. I never stopped praying. I was talking to something and hoping that something would talk back to me. What was it like for you? Because I experienced my conversion as literally, it was like I was traveling a lot. I was traveling my life along one road, a very kind of lost, broken, definitive road. And then there was this rupture. There was just a fear rupture.
Mm-hmm.
And I was suddenly on a different road. And everything was just completely different. So, I mean, you know, it was just incredible for me. What was it like for you to witness my conversion?
Like you said, it was incredible in the sense that I almost couldn't catch up with you. So I was this person always believing in God, always praying, remember about all the saints and the celebration in the holy calendar year, and then next minute is you know more than me reading stuff. You change your routine. You was praying. You was telling me, "Come on, let's pray." I was like, "I don't. I'm not ready." You was already ahead of me. That was that was shocking. That was
Mm,
shocking experience when required me to adapt very quickly, like you
mm,
said, because we live the life for such a long time not practicing Catholicism, and then from one day to another, everything changed dramatically, and I had to catch up very quickly. But I'm glad, and
mm.
yeah, amazing.
So you obviously are aware of my book, and we'll kind of touch on that later as we kind of, and I kind of say earlier that you bullied me into writing my book, but I meant that in a gentle
Not
way.
bullying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
encourage you.
You encourage me. Yeah, I know that you take issue with that word bullying, and I understand why. You didn't bully me. You encouraged me very strongly to continue. But what was it like for you to witness my story, considering your story? So I don't think, yeah, I hadn't opened up for a long time. I kind of opened up a space in my life, and it was really, I just didn't want to add to your pain, to your suffering. And I just felt that you needed somebody else's heart to kind of, you know, draw you closer. And so I was able to do that for a while, regardless of my own difficulties. But what was it like to witness my story? Because you know even more than what went into the book.
Wow, it was really not explain. When he was telling all his story about all his life from the very small as a very small child and through growing into teenager and become an adult man. It was like a story I haven't heard before. It was like something I could only read in a book. And obviously very, very powerful. Really touched me and made me realize that my story is horrendous. But you experience as a very small child. And I see your story through eyes of my own children experiencing when they was with me in my violent marriage. And they had to experience this. They had no choice. They couldn't just leave and forget. So I was actually trying to be the child you was and trying to picture and trying to experience the pain, the trauma, the hopelessness, the powerlessness. And I thought, oh my gosh, that this story deserved to be told. Not because maybe it's one of many, but it's one and unique for each person. The person who experienced and for the person who will be reading the story. And the message in this book, in your book, is very clear about the strength. And I would say something holding you in their arms once you're going through this horrendous experience. It's about God, God allowing this to happen, not because you deserve, but God allowed this to happen because God had different plans, different plan for you. And I believe through this kind of experience, um, you you're already helping. You're already helping so many people. You have people without this book, and now with this book, you're gonna be able to reach so many people who experience the same events, and they kept this in silence, the same as you, for so many years. Because there was no one else to listen. There was no one else to support. There was no one else to help. But somehow, you, as a little boy, teenager age, and young man, you found the strength to overcome. And this is incredible. It's really incredible. I mean, later when you was doing writing the book, you was giving me the notes to read and the script. To be honest, I heard your story from yourself, but when I read the chapter by chapter, I have to put the script down. I need to breathe. That was horrendous. So as you say, you haven't put everything in your book. Yeah, your strength was incredible.
and so is yours. And I think one of the things you said about your children not having a choice, you didn't have a choice either. And I think it's important to say that, because one of the accusations that's really unfairly pointed against women who are in abusive relationships is, why don't you just leave? It's like saying to a drug addict, why don't you just stop? You know, it's just, you can't. It's not that simple.
No.
Okay, so what does it mean today for us to be both living our faith together?
Well, it seems right, and it's really important for me, for you to actually give a good example to our children and grandchildren, and hopefully one day each one of them will find a way.
And one of the things we enjoyed, which was very special, I caught COVID during it, but which meant that we extended for a good 2.5, 3 weeks longer. Our pilgrimage to Palestine, Jerusalem, the Holy Land, that we both went on, and ironically 1 year before the catastrophic and awful events that resulted in just the heartbreaking and terrible situation we found ourselves in. But going back to then, what was it? What was it like for you? Tell me about that pilgrimage. It's
Yeah, this is another special moment in my life. Visiting this place is incredible. To be able to actually walk the steps to the places when Jesus Christ was making his steps is incredible. I mean, being in a river Jordan to experience another baptism to renew, to be reborn, it was an unforgettable experience. And Jerusalem, the sepulchre, and visiting the tomb of when Jesus was put to rest. Incredible experience again. I remember waiting a long queues just to be able to go inside the tomb to touch the stone. I can't even explain. So getting so emotional. And then obviously you contracted COVID. We couldn't carry on with our group to visit other places to go to Sea of Galilee. So we stayed in Jerusalem for another week. And as it was getting worse with your cough and temperature, I went to a local pharmacy and asked the pharmacist any medication because I got the COVID test, any medication, and I was asking for any doctor in the area. And the pharmacist gave me a telephone number, Dr. Ben Daniel. And I came to you, give you the test, you went positive, took some medication, and then I make a call to Dr. Ben Daniel. So basically, I asked him to come to the hotel to do the visit and check your health. And I don't know how many, 2 hours, and he was in our hotel, came to the hotel room, check your health, or listen to your chest, and yeah, give me some medication. And we was having a conversation about what happening in the world, and he told us about his mission, him and his wife, and they was writing a book about Revelation. Obviously, chatting for some time. He left. I think next day I said to you, I'm gonna go back to the sepulchre because I want to go again to the tomb of Jesus. I have this urgent need to go there again. So after viewing a long time, I managed to access the tube, went there, and touched the stone, closed my eyes, and I had that electric shock in my spine. I was like someone kicked me in a bum, and I'm thinking, what is this? Right? I left the tube, left the car, and on the way back to the hotel, there was few bookshops, and I went to the bookshop, and I thought I'm gonna buy some book about Jerusalem as a souvenir. And as I'm scanning all the books, there's a book with blue cover, and it's saying Dr. Ben Daniel, Revelation. And I'm thinking, Ben Daniel, Ben Daniel, I heard this name, Ben Daniel. So I pick up the book, and I see the photo, and the Ben Daniel is the author and the doctor who visit you in a hotel. And I'm thinking, how incredible. What chance you have to meet the person who read the book of Revelation, carry the check on your husband because he's unwell, and you're in this special place in Jerusalem.
Mm.
And then again, when you was feeling well, we made the trip to Galilee, to the Sea of Galilee. It's just this kind of experience that will never leave you. You'll have it for life. It was incredible.
Mm. Yeah, it was incredible, and so many things. It was so many experiences, so many profound moments, so many very special moments. And Dr. Ben Daniels, I want to thank him as well for his kindness and his compassion, and an incredible book. And we can link this book into the description, plus a link to him and his wife's website. If anybody's interested in finding more, and we can maybe do a little bit more one day on the pilgrimage about the places where we visited, because we collected lots of stuff as we went along the way. It was definitely, yeah, it was beyond special for sure. So Apoka, tell me about Apoka.
Yeah, Apoka started as a small group I organized for a Polish woman in Bristol. Back then, I never thought about anything big. I wouldn't dare to think that become an organization that is recognized in the UK and supporting the largest minority group in UK, Polish families, especially women and children. That's saying domestic violence. And yeah, again, your support. This time you encourage me to do something about it.
Yeah,
It wouldn't
I mean,
happen. I don't think it would happen without your encouragement and your support, because I guess I was finding my ways, my purpose in what I can do in my life here in Bristol.
yeah, I mean, I think it's so much more than that. I think that's a very kind of I mean, it's an incredible organization. We often call it within Chrysalis, within the Chrysalis group, it's the kind of the kind of the jewel in our crown. It's a very quiet organization that goes about its daily business, and nobody realizes how massive the impact is. Um, and also, no one realizes the dedication and the sacrifice that you've made, and that we as a family and as a husband and wife have made to keep this going. And it's something that we hope that different parts of the kind of Polish community continues to support. And we've already had a great deal of support, but it's definitely something that we're hoping will kind of take on and grow more substantially and gain more funding, and become kind of a national service beyond me and you. Something started that's bigger than us. It's definitely been blessed. It's been protected. It's had its struggles. It still has its struggles. And it, as a service, it punches way above its weight. And it's, as I said, it's a multi-award winning service. It's been nationally and internationally recognised. It has garnered all kinds of support, and I am very proud to have been part of it. Very proud of you for continuing on, despite the personal toll that it takes on you. But there will be a time, as I said, in the future when Apoka will no doubt have to continue without me or you. And that time is probably coming sooner rather than later. Now we've and we'll put links to Apoka obviously in the description. Now we've had blessings and struggles of having each other as step parents and me adopting a couple of your children. Two of your children had flown the nest, two remained, and they took on my name and I adopted them. And you ours. And so, together we've got 9 children, 9 grandchildren. And tell me about that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I always find amusing when people asking me or you have children, and when we say, yeah, we've got 9 children and 9 grandchildren, and the eyes rising and the face is like they're so surprised. Yeah, I guess we're not alone having that number of children, but I'm feeling really proud that we have them. Each of them is quite individual with different charisma, different interests. We love them very much. And yeah, our goal is to unite them together. We haven't managed yet to meet all of them in one place. There's so many of us, and everybody got different schedule, different responsibilities. We live in different places. So yeah, I told you that before this Christmas, I'm working. It's my dream to get us together in one place at the same time, all of us. It's gonna be massive achievement if I do
That's
manage
your
to do
mission.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my
So
mission.
we'll have to try and find out how much it costs to hire out Wimbledon, right?
Yeah,
For all of our
but
family and extended family, yeah.
yeah, but talking about the role, I mean, how is as a stepfather or stepmother is another challenge. I can imagine for you, to bring accept my children as your own children. It must require a lot of thinking, strength, and a sense of responsibility. Probably fear of failure, or maybe feeling scared that it's not your problem, but yet you took this on your shoulder, and you really done fantastic job. As we can see, the children who was under your influence, I would say, as their parent, the father figure, they are doing incredibly well. And what I'm trying to say, I wish we had more time together much earlier we get in touch with all of the children, so we could have the good influence of all of them and become the big family a long time ago.
Mm. Well, I guess we don't get what we want. We get what we get, and I'm very privileged. And you've said to me often about it being a struggle, and it was a complete blessing for me. Yeah, one of the absolute privileges of my life. So uh, I know we hear a lot of negative kind of stories about step parents. You know, and I have to say, for us, we're blessed. We're more than blessed. We've been, you know, very fortunate. We love each other. We love our children. We love each one of them, and we're very proud of wherever they are. And certainly, you know, where my failings have been as a father when I was younger, I've done and continue to try to do everything I can to make amends and to put things right. And I live my faith explicitly today, whereas I actively discouraged anybody leaning towards the faith because I saw the faith as something quite negative and I wanted to protect my children from it. And whereas the absolute beauty and richness and just the incredible richness of the faith, I really, you know, continue to pray and I give our children constantly in prayer to Christ to look after and to guide. And many of them are coming back. Many of them are coming back to the faith. Many of them are asking questions, just like young people who are not our children are asking. There's a movement, there's a shift in the culture where people are just disillusioned by what the world has offered them, the empty, vacuous, kind of hedonistic, just emptiness, the meaninglessness and the pointlessness of what the world's offered, and what the alternative in our faith is offering them is just abundance beyond anything that the world can offer. Now, you saw me struggle with alcohol, and it's not to. I talk about this in my book, and I do want to iterate. It was a problem, but I didn't return to my kind of uh, you know, this kind of idea of a full blown kind of relapse. I a lot of the time mediated, didn't drink, took breaks from drinking. But in the end, I was losing my battle. I felt like I was on a downward spiral. And part of that was to do with after spending 18 and a half years totally abstinent, 12-step programs, losing my faith, losing my idea of what I used to call a higher power. And you witnessed all of that. And I know that you had lived with a man who had been an alcoholic. He was very violent and very unpredictable. What was it like to witness that with me? Not the violence and obviously, but just to be clear, that's not. But the alcohol, of course, I would imagine, and we did talk about it then. But now,
yeah. So it was a scary moment for me. It started very innocently when obviously in my culture, in my family, we meet it very often. There's birthday and Christmas and Easter and other celebrations like Christian communion and weddings, and Polish culture like to work hard and party hard. So they drink and next morning they get up and go to work. So I guess you I think he was trying to integrate into my family, into my culture, and by having one drink occasionally, you think that was okay. I didn't see any problem with that. But in time, that was more severe, more drinking. And I would say that was functional drinking because we can have like drink in the evening after work and we go back to work next morning and it was okay until we both see problem in this. And yeah, I admit that was really scaring me at some point, and I thought, no, this is not happening again. And I was really, I was blaming myself and feeling guilty that by you trying to integrate into my culture, into my family, somehow, it's like drinking and drinking more and thinking it's okay. Everybody's drinking until you can drink. Yeah, that was a scary moment.
And I think I just want to reiterate, it definitely wasn't you or your culture's fault. I was having very kind of difficult kind of spiritual problems. Um, yeah, I was really struggling. You know, God was really important to me, even before it was my Catholic understanding of Christ and of
Mm,
our faith. Um, and I felt that God had abandoned me for various different reasons. I was struggling with different aspects of my mental health that you didn't know about. And so, you know, just to be clear to everybody listening and to you, um, you know, it had absolutely nothing to do with anything. This was a very private struggle that was lived out very publicly,
mm,
unfortunately. And yeah, uh, just for anybody kind of listening, um, it didn't, you know, the kind of the whole thing around the 12 steps that talks about relapse and sliding back into where people were, you know, it didn't happen, but it could have happened for me. I felt that I was losing more and more control, if indeed I ever had any. And it was a very dark period in my life, and I'm very grateful to God. I'm very grateful to you. Very grateful for the people who supported me through that, and people who continue to believe in me for that. Um, what would you say to those who've had very traumatic past relationships that are considering new relationships?
mm. Yes. Well, they need to look for the patterns at the very early stage of um knowing someone. Um, it's coming from my life experience and coming of my professional experience. Um, anyone, women or men, we need to look in the other person for the patterns that represent good nature. Um, it's never too easy to see through to know the person until in your real life and day to day living and experiencing each other. But yeah, definitely be aware and try to take time and trust in God. Trust yourself. If something seems not right, probably not right.
I would also want to emphasize the hopeful side that there is hope beyond these very kind of traumatic experiences, because there can be a narrative, right?
Mm.
That because you've had these terrible relationships or a terrible relationship, that you know, you will never, you know, you'll never experience you know, a healthy, loving, fulfilling, meaningful,
Mm.
purposeful, respectful, safe relationship. And that's not true, right? We can at least say that. on the level of me and you. I don't think that we're unique. And I think you I think you're right. If your gut tells you something's not right, if this person you meet is super nice and then all of a sudden becomes super not nice, we all know the patterns. We can all recognize, the kind of the certain qualities, but there's also, just recognizing when somebody does love you, does respect you, um, and yeah, it's just a decent, just brings kind of a decent quality. So there's hope, and I do want to say that it's important that people keep themselves safe, both men and women, or women and men. Uh, and I think that there's often, let's say, stories told about um, you know that are quite negative, that don't paint a hopeful picture. But there is hope. There is immense hope. There can be life after abuse. There can be an immense opportunity for healing, an immense opportunity for transformation, and yeah, um, and that's at least what I hope that people will find and will take away from some of what our story has to offer as well. Um, and in that respect, when you met me, what kind of fears did you have about me? Did you have fears about me?
Yes, I have fears. First of all, I couldn't believe that this can be true. Um, I was really skeptical and scared of new relationship. Um, Later when I get to know you, obviously you have been very honest and transparent with me from the very beginning. So when you told me that you had previous relationship and have children in previous relationships, I thought, oh my God, no, maybe it's not gonna be stable, maybe not gonna be for life. So that was my fears.
Yeah. So you talked about having having those fears about me, and I suppose I had fears about me and fears about us as well. I think it's only natural. I don't think it would be. I think it's only human and honest to have those fears. Um, I was afraid of letting you down. I was afraid of letting myself down, and afraid that I wouldn't be able to fulfill what I really wanted for our relationship together. Um, but the you really taught me something that I had never experienced in a relationship before, which was that it was a two-way street. You leaned into my life as much as I was trying to lean into yours. You showed me what being a loving, loyal parent looked like, and as much as you think, I was this kind of good dad, I think I was very much informed by you. Uh, I obviously, my book chronicles my story and about my failed attempts at relationship. Um, but it also talks about how you kind of gave me new hope. In you, I saw what commitment, what loyalty, what perseverance, what resilience, um, just doggedness and faith and trust, what it looked like in action, not just what it looked like in words.
Mm.
And yeah, my greatest challenge has always been to see how much you suffered, because you really wear your heart on your sleeve and everything. You know, it's really, it might be less obvious for a person to kind of tell if Colin's upset or if something hurts Colin. Maybe not so much anymore, but definitely, you know, less so than you. And, you know, you became obviously my wife. And I think one of the things that's also difficult is for people to understand that, even our children to understand that you weren't, you know, as much as they are central to our lives, to our existence, you're also central to mine, and God is set the center above us. Um, and so there's continued challenges, right, in terms of how we grow and how we inform our children. And I just want to go back to the Catholic faith, because one of the things that we did was, which the story doesn't tell, and to be fair to the Catholic Church and to be fair to who was Canon Bosco MacDonald. He's now Bishop Bosco. He was going to marry us, and we ended up getting married by Father Cavan instead. Is that we had your marriage annulled because you were far too young to understand the sacrament and the commitment, and also you felt forced to marry somebody that you didn't want to marry. And I knew that that weighed heavy on your heart, and you had been unjustly denied the sacraments. And so there was really a long process of beginning to heal. And one of the things that me and you, who had lived together, we were married civilly in 2014, to which obviously the Catholic Church would not approve. I had never been married. You were my only wife. I've never been married to anybody but you. And one of the beautiful twists, I suppose, in our story, in our struggle, our spiritual struggle, was that your marriage was annulled. So he didn't have the privilege of calling you his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And he was never your husband. And as part of that annulment, which took years and caused you had to go and find witnesses, you had to present your case, had to be presented through canon law, had to go to be adjudicated, because the Catholic Church is a law unto itself. It has its own rules, it has its own sacraments. It is canon law, the magisterium of the Catholic Church. It's not civil. It doesn't attest to any kind of civil laws. It has its own rules for subscription and obedience. And we tried as best we could, being already married, to live as brother and sister. So we had to go through the whole process of basically living together, but as separate people. And it was very odd, very difficult. And I know we didn't do it perfectly. We fell naturally. But all the time, we remembered that it was, for our commitment to Christ, it was something deeply spiritual. And we were married last year in the Catholic Church. So I finally traced my baptism, confirmation certificates, which for a while, given my childhood, I was at one point worried that they might not even exist, that maybe I might not even really be a Catholic, on paper at least. But yeah, it turned out to be a really beautiful story. Not beautiful, not a story, you know. I feel very blessed and very lucky. And so we are each other's first husband, first wife. And, you know, by God's grace, we will be until our last breath. So, is there anything that you would say to those with families where their spouse or partners have children, from different relationships?
Yep. I would say that they need to find how to say mutual way of finding themselves in God, in faith and trust God and pray.
So it's a process.
It's a process. At least in my experience, my prayers hasn't been fulfilled instantly. It took time. But now when I'm looking back on all these events and all this, I would say, evidence, my life is full of miracles. Yeah, I don't think I will achieve what I've got now. I wouldn't be the person I am now without my faith. I remember I was just 2 years ago when my eldest son Martin became a father, and after a few months of being a young parent, he asked me a question, and he said, "Mom, how did you manage with all of us on your own? We can't manage with our baby at night." And I said, "I just did. It wasn't easy. But I always was praying. I always had the faith that everything's gonna be fine." And I said to all my children many times that, forget what I went through, what I had to survive. If I have to go through this again, I would. And they said, "Why?" And I responded, "Because if there would be you involved, I wouldn't hesitate to go through this again. Because you, all of you, you were my light in my darkest days, and that is true. I don't think I will manage to overcome the trauma, the everything, without having children." And the thing I forgot to mention earlier, that when I was not allowed to marry the person I love, the minute the first and second and third and fourth child was born, I poured all my love I had for that person I love towards my children, and this is what helps me survive. My children was my light and my strength, and it's something I can resonate with the support given from God.
And I'm a witness to that being true, and I can attest to that for sure. And I didn't find out about your first love. I think you were afraid to tell me. I think you thought I might judge you, or I might be jealous, and I was heartbroken for you when I heard that. And I don't yeah, I don't think people, at least I say this for me, that when you find a love which is respectful, which is rooted in our spiritual lives, you know, I want what's best for you. And if that person would have been what was best for you, obviously God brought us together. So we're each other's cross, right? And we have what we have. But yeah, it was heartbreaking. It's still heartbreaking when I listen to it. but I'm very grateful that he didn't become your husband.
Yeah.
So just a slightly different question. Now, we spoke about my book, but this is more about what you witnessed me going through, because I do say to people that I pretty much could have wrote, kind of, I had help in writing it because it was so painful. With somebody helping me, kind of with some of the narration and holding some of the story in the process and making sure my focus was there. But it was tearing me apart. It was literally, and I'd been, and I mean, I'm not kind of, anybody who knows me knows I'm not a wallflower. Um, I'm a tough. I'm made of pretty tough stuff. Um, and I've been through a lot in my life. Uh, but that was very difficult. It was very difficult, and it was very difficult to know that it was going to go out into a world of unknown to unknown audiences and to people. So talking in therapy, talking amongst other people who'd struggled with different issues, going to self-help groups, for example, that was one thing, right? What was it like? I mean, did you see? Did you know? Were you aware that I was struggling? Because it took me years to put it out there. I was procrastinating and holding back on purpose, hoping that somehow you might forget and you might it might all just go away.
Yeah. I remember the first idea of writing the book was in 2016, and I remember we was talking about how powerful this can be, and he was very reluctant. He didn't want to, for obvious reason, he didn't want to open up to the world about your very vulnerable place in your heart and experience. And then when finally you found the strength and okay, I'm gonna do it. That was hope. That was a very long process and very painful process for you because you had to revisit everything once again in details, and really careful about what you putting into the paper. You was always very mindful about the people who you're gonna read about the story, are also the people you write the story about them, how you're gonna take it. So I guess you was torn apart to find the middle ground to tell the story, which is very dreadful and painful, in a way that is readable. But as well, you have dilemma about, for example, your mom. So in the middle of writing your book, we found your mom. That was another point in your life when you had to stop. You stop writing the book because you focus on the time when you have to speak to first time to your mom, first time in 47 years, and then to meet your mom and another emotional moment in your life. Yeah, that was painful. I seen you, I feel you, how you was reviewing the draft use, thinking I'm not gonna put this in the book, or should I put this in the book? And that was constant dilemma, constant pain, fighting with yourself, and obviously reliving again the painful experience. It must be um I can't imagine the pain. I can't imagine the pain.
Yeah. And we this obviously won't go out today. We're recording this. It'll be released in,
Yeah.
I don't know, 4 weeks, whatever time from that. It's the 8th of September, and it's my mum's birthday
Yeah.
today. And she shares a birthday with the Virgin Mary. which of course the Catholic Church celebrates today. And her name is Mary as well. So it's a special time, special day, a particular dilemma as well. And I knew as well that I'd carried a lot of hatred, a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness towards my mum. But I knew I didn't want to carry this anymore. And a lot of people don't understand why I forgave my mum. And it's quite simple, really. She was human. There's so many things that she was challenged by. And, no one told her how to do this. No one supported her. She was very much alone. Yeah, she let me down. She did abandon me. And I didn't want her to take this weight that she'd carried. And I knew that she would have carried it because I carry my own wounds. So I know what it's like to be human, to have made dreadful mistakes, to have things that you can't take back. So it was the right thing to do. But painful. And I'm glad I did it. And, my mum's ill, obviously, as you know. And, yeah, I'll never have the relationship that I'd hoped I could have. I get to have some kind of relationship, and that's important. It's another blessing that I've been given, which comes with its own challenges at times as well. Do you think that my book delivers on my ambition to reach out and into people, towards people who struggle with their experiences of extreme and profound childhood abuse, who might suffer as adults, and the hope that I can point them towards a way forward to their own lives?
Absolutely. It's nothing more powerful than the story of a person who went through similar experience or who going through experience came to ours. And I'm talking from the point of a person who before I never had opportunity to go to therapists, to have my therapy and talk to about my own experience. But I always was in reaching out for similar books that was telling of other people, very successful people who might went through horrendous trauma, and those kind of books always was lifting me up, and I was always hopeful. So definitely, this is, I'm telling you, this is only beginning. Many people that never heard about your book, I don't know about your book yet. But when they do, you're gonna help thousands of people, and they're gonna feel encouraged to seek for help, to seek support, and not to feel feeling down. They might start believing in themselves again and start a new life. So definitely.
What would you tell other people about the book?
Like I said I think that was my first feedback. If someone looking for meaning in life, for inspiration, to feel empowered, this is the book they should read. And it's absolutely for anyone who might struggle with feeling unappreciated, lonely, someone who has addiction, someone who suffer lost,
Mm.
can't find sense in life, no purpose. So this book can reach many people in different spheres of their lives.
Mm. Yeah, good.
It's
Thank
very
you.
inspiring.
Okay. So 3 books people should read before they die, and why?
Okay. I'm gonna be naughty today because I'm
Mhm.
sure everybody is sharing well-known books. I'm gonna share my favorite ones, which I read 3 times, and I watched the adaptation in the movies, I don't know, dozens of times. And it's by a Polish writer who was born in near Lublin in my region. It's Henryk Sienkiewicz,
Mhm.
and he received Nobel Prize for his literature in 1905. And the book is trilogy, so it's a trilogy in 3 parts, 3
Mhm.
titles. So in English is With Fire and Sword,
Mhm.
sorry, the Nutch and Sir Michael. So it's basically a story about Poland in 17th century. Obviously, I'm very real passionate about history
Mhm.
and Polish culture. So I'm saying about all the struggles through generation, about the partition and all the wars Poles need to survive to become a
Mhm.
free country. It's human books. I think we watched a program that was the book was put into the film, and it's called Switchblade. It's
Mhm.
about a pastor in Brooklyn, approaching young people, basically street gangs, they fighting with each other, and this wonderful pastor, he bringing lights to these young people, teaching about God, the Holy Spirit guide him, and this many young people get converted to Christianity, which
The
is
Cross and the
wonderful.
Switchblade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one is Quo Vadis, which is in Latin language. The title is Where Are You Going? Is the book about the times when Christian was persecuted under Nero, um, when he was the emperor of Rome, and the Great Fire of Rome, and when he's reminding about the story about Saint Peter, when Saint Peter is running from the Rome, and then
Mm.
he meets a person on the way, and the person is saying, "Where are you going?" And Saint Peter saying, I'm escaping because Rome is Nero is burning Rome. He killing Christian. I'm running away." And the person is Jesus, and he said, "Okay, if you're running from Rome, I'm coming back to Rome to get crucified again." And then when Saint Peter stopped and he came back, and obviously we know the rest. He was crucified as well.
Mm.
So all these three books are giving some story into faith, and was a large part of my teenager time when I was growing as a young teenager and reading all the books. I like history, I like religion, especially religion. So it might be not everybody's cup of tea, but if someone struggled to read this book, all they're available as the films done by Hollywood in 1951.
Excellent. Great choice. Thank you. 3 books that people should avoid, and why?
I don't think it's not my place to tell which book they should avoid. It's individual choice. But for me, I will avoid anything that is false or not true.
Okay, fair enough. 3 favorite actors and why?
My favorite are Clark Gable.
Mhm.
And the next one is Anthony Hopkins and Mel Gibson.
Mhm. And what is it about those 3 actors? Why are they your favorites?
I read the books, Gone with the Wind. I
Mhm.
love the book.
Mhm.
So I wait for the film to watch about 10 years, and when I watch the film, Clark Gable, such a handsome gentleman, and obviously love story, um, really powerful. Anthony Hopkins, great actor, lots of he played lots of character, very strong, and especially touched me in the film The Father, The Armageddon, and then when he portrayed the C.S. Lewis, I was enjoying as well.
A grief observed. Yeah.
So yeah, or Shadowlands,
Mhm.
and Mel Gibson, Braveheart, wonderful story again, love story, and freedom.
Okay, brilliant. Um, 3 favorite musicians or bands or composers and why?
Right. Here I'm not lots, but I decided to only give a glimpse that my favorite music is 50s, 60s, and 70s. But in terms of choosing Synapse, so it's Frank Sinatra, Barbra Streisand, and Dionne Warwick.
Okay, fantastic. 3 things you would take to a desert island. You're on, like, it's already resourced, right? We're cheating here because people are talking about matches and source of cooking or like a step, right? So, and all of your loved ones, the people who are important to you, who are near and dear, they're there too. So, what else would you take to a desert island? It's just your own desert island. What would you take?
Oh, yeah. Oh. Hmm. Before you said is everything I got is already there, right?
Mhm. Is that ruined your answer? Have I ruined your answer? Have I?
You know my answer.
Okay, give me your
In,
answer then.
in
Okay,
my
let's
head,
let's
in my
scratch that.
head,
Let's scratch that, and you give me your answer. Go
so
for it.
in my head, if I will be in a deserted island, and obviously in my nature, I'm a survivor.
You are
Right? So I will have to have knife with me for protection
right. Okay.
and for using the tools.
Yeah.
I will have to have a fire starter kit. So because I like to cook
Right.
and cooking food and keep warm. And I will have to have the tablets that purify water. At least I
Okay.
can drink water if I can
Very
find it.
practical. Yeah. So you're going to make sure that you've got a good chance to survive. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Is there anything that you want to ask me?
Ask you.
That may be more difficult than it is for more people because we live together, right?
Hmm.
You can just ask me whatever you want. Is that too difficult to ask? Is that just like not
No,
relevant?
I'm looking for a question that I haven't asked you already.
Okay. Have you got one?
Yeah, I think so. Um, I think I'm gonna ask you similar question what the children ask.
Hmm.
Would you what would you do differently if you have to live your life again from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
or I know it's painful. Would you go through the pain again, knowing that in the end you are becoming this successful, wonderful man you are?
If I asked the question like to have what I have in my life today and the things that I have today, would I go through the suffering again? Yes, I would. Um, what would I do differently? I would trust, and I would give myself more credit than I do.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Have you got any suggestions or takeaways for me or anyone else watching?
I'm really how to say, I'm so conscious about this episode because I'm this kind of person when I'm usually avoiding interviews, podcasts, or public speaking. So I don't know how how our viewers are going to take this episode. I'm always scared to be judged. So yeah, I'm full of fear, and I hope they will show their understanding and compassion.
Mm, well, if somebody judges, I think that's their problem, and we'll pray for them, right? Uh, any final messages to the viewers?
Any final message to the viewers will be more positive. So all of you had the chance to hear the story about Colin life and my story of my life before we met. So I guess it's a hope for all of us because Colin and I we are live evidence of two broken people who managed to go through some incredible pain, manage to survive, manage to find themselves, manage to find each other, and build something wonderful. And we still support each other, and we have lots of plans, lots of things to do. We hope we're gonna have enough time to do all of it what we want to do. And I always say, me and Connie, we like two broken cups put together and still serving the purpose.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And if it's God's will, it will be. And if it's not, then I'm very grateful for what God has already given both me and you. But yeah, I hope we get to do either all or some of what we hope to do together. And I just want to thank you. I think you've been, as ever, wonderful. I'm always blown away by you. Um, yeah, I just want to thank you. I know it's been difficult. I know you don't like to talk in public. I know that you feel very conscious. So I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for you pushing into that fear and giving, really giving us an opportunity to get to know you. For I already do know you, but for other people to get to know you. Um, and all that leaves me to do is to say thank you so much. This has been episode 9. Wonderful episode 9 of Broken Roads. Um, thank you to Sylvie for everything technical. And if you've liked this, then please share in the comments, and please spread the word about this podcast. And if you're looking to find out more about myself, the book, my wife, Apoka, anything else she does for coaching, mother-daughter coaching, which we didn't get into, maybe some other time, then we'll put some information in the description. And until then, I'm going to leave it there. And yeah, God bless.
Thank you.